Hello, and welcome to Not Very Scary Stories. This episode will have two stories from the internet. Be sure to leave a sub, follow, or whatever you can on whatever platform you're on. Also, be sure to leave a review so people will know to listen in as well. I'd like to thank you guys for the support thus far on all platforms you can find us on, including YouTube. I'd also like to remind everyone that if you have any scary stories or experiences you'd like to share, email me at notveryscaryent@gmail.com and tell me how you'd like to be credited. I'm Zenith Darksky. I'll be your host tonight. Enjoy. This first story is titled The People You'll Meet in Cemeteries, posted by u/Orion St. James to r/scary stories. On pleasant summer evenings, I like to go on walks to the cemetery after work. Some find it to be a somber and even frightening place, but I find it to be a pleasant way to clear my head. I also don't mind the occasional conversation with a ghost, here and there. I was having just such a stroll one afternoon this past summer. It had rained earlier in the day, but the sun was now shining and the air was crisp and clean and filled with dew. The specters and spirits populating the place must have appreciated it as well, because they were all out enjoying the day as the living would. I was all friendly nods as I made my way through. The dead sometimes regard this behavior as odd, but most were quite welcoming and returned my friendly gestures. Towards the center, at a large statue of an angel, I saw a group of children playing as they would have at the park on a day like that. It's sad, of course, to see these children and know that their lives have been cut short. But I found it inspiring as well to know that they weren't missing out on childhood play and fun. I watched for a moment, reminded of my own children when they were young. It was then that I noticed another child standing far back among the graves, watching sullenly at the others. I approached him, knowing that children sometimes gang up on and exclude others, and resolved to help this little guy out. "Hello there," I said. "My name is Thomas. What's your name?" Mitchell Higgins." His tone was as sad and wistful as his face, and even sadder were the injuries from life that had followed him into death. The name struck me as familiar, and I tried to remember if there had been any accidents involving children in the area recently. "What are you doing over here all by yourself?" I asked. "Won't the other children play with you?" "No," he said with a frown. "Well, maybe I should go speak with them. Perhaps I could ask them to be kinder to you." "No, they never play with me, ever." His voice was filled with resolve. And being a parent, I knew my involvement could do more harm than good. So, instead, I decided to keep him company for a bit. We watched as the other kids ran and jumped and goofed around the statue. They all wore their funeral clothes, and some also carried wounds from life. Burns, it looked like, and some rather badly. It didn't bother them, though, and they all played as though nothing at all was the matter. "They were all mean to me when I was alive, too," he said with a sigh. "That's terrible," I said. "I hope they change their ways soon." "I doubt it," he said back. "They're mad at me because I'm the one who started the fire that brought us here." This next story is titled, Stuck With Me All These Years. The author didn't care to be credited. I took that as a sign of wanting to be anonymous. We do that here on Not Very Scary Stories, so let's just get into this one. So I've told the story so many times, and my friends always just laugh it off and tell me I'm crazy. I'm about 9 years old at the time. I'm sleeping over at my best friend's house down in his basement. At some point in the middle of the night, I wake up to the sound of someone running down the stairs to the basement. I shoot straight up off the couch we were sleeping on. My friend somehow remains asleep. When I look over the stairs, I see a kid standing at the bottom of the stairs. I had just woken up, so I'm wiping my eyes, making sure my eyes aren't playing tricks on me. He's still there, so I ask, "Who's there?" I get no response. And now, I'm horrified. He's just standing there at the bottom of the stairs. I think it may be my best friend's brother messing with us, but they look smaller. And I'm not sure, so I'm still very weary. After not receiving the answer, I ask angrily, "What do you want?" The little boy had stopped at the bottom of the stairs and not moved an inch. He looks me right in the eyes and says, I'm here, I'm ready to give it my all." Very weird thing to say, I know. After hearing his voice and processing his weird response, I'm now 100% sure that this is not my friend's brother, and my friend's still sleeping on the other end of the couch. After he said, I'm here, I'm ready to give it my all," it really clicked in my 9-year-old head that this isn't a dream, and I'm actually awake right now. My heart drops, and I'm frozen with terror. I don't know what else to say to the kid at the bottom of the stairs, but I continue to look at him despite being absolutely frozen with fear. He stares right back at me, and after about 10 to 15 seconds, I ask him who he was again. He starts to give me a real sinister grin, and then he legitimately just fades away right in front of my eyes. I laid back down under the covers and come to qualms with the fact that I'm awake. After about an hour of shitting my pants under the covers, I build up the courage to wake my friend up to go upstairs. I tell my friend and his family about it the next morning, and everyone tries to convince me that I was sleeping, but I know I was awake. A few years later, after they had moved out of that house, my friend's mom admits to having a few strange encounters in that house herself. I wish the kid had said a bit more, but at the same time I guess I don't, because that grin that he gave me after the fear came over me has stuck with me ever since. Now at 23, I still get chills when I think about that experience. If he had paired that grin with something a little bit more frightening than I'm here, I'm ready to give it my all, I probably would have had to be institutionalized.